Plus you get beat up, bullied, and dumped on. We gon' leave you beat up, bullied, and dumped on. We said we only rock with Mavericks. If you a clone, then step off the canvas.
Hello and welcome to the Season 18 finale of The Box Score. It's been an action-packed, hot take-filled, and always eventful first 4 episodes, so it's only fitting we close it out with a bang. We've got college football madness, NFL playoff pushes, loads of F1 news, and so much more. So, let's get it started. Coming off the back of a college football rivalry week filled with fireworks and conference championships up next, the new 12-team playoff is beginning to take shape, although not without its fair share of controversy. Joining me to talk about whether 12 teams is too much, whether a 3-loss team should get in, and who the new format has benefited the most is the always incredible Everest Leach and Aidan Crooke. Now, Everest, lots to get into. Get us started.
Yeah, well, Noah, to be quite honest, this has been a bit of a weird college football season in terms of there hasn't been many dominant teams. Lots of programs have 2 losses, 3 losses, teams that we were expecting to really just win out, go to the conference championship, and make it in easily, have maybe stumbled a bit. And this begs the question, is 12 teams too much for this first expanded college football playoff?
Right, because, you know, there were proponents of the 8-team playoff or the 6-team playoff just to expand gradually, and I would always say, like, it's better to increase over time than get it wrong on the first way around.
Yeah, and I think in this case, we are seeing there are some issues with the formatting. Some seeds are way better, actually, than higher ones, and we see that scheduling has really played into this season in a way that it ideally should not, like strength of schedule, what teams are playing who and when, and just like the lack of a true governing body in college football, I think is making itself apparent with this first 12-team playoff. I think if you go to 8, that might be a little bit better because then conference championships are incentivized even more. Because we can see this year as we watch a team like Alabama who has 3 losses on the season, isn't going to a conference championship, they could still make it in.
Right, and I wouldn't put it past the committee who, of course, are
loves Bama.
All Bama truthers and SEC truthers, really. A 3-loss SEC team absolutely has a better chance of getting in than a 2-loss Indiana, for example, who, I mean, despite the fact that Indiana has looked great throughout the year, I mean, they had no top 25 wins all season. And unfortunately, a 3-loss SEC team is just going to look better because they're in the SEC. But Aidan, you have some other thoughts on that, about a team that, because of the 12-team playoff, actually has an opportunity to really let their colors fly.
Oh, absolutely. And I am talking about the one, the only Southern Methodist University Mustangs. The Pony Express is back, folks. And this is their best season since the death penalty when that was issued in 1987. It has been 37 years. Millennials are now parents after the death penalty, but let's think about this for a minute. Stats-wise, in their 82 season where they won the national championship, they totaled 347 points for an average of 28.9 points per game. Obviously, the schedule's shorter in the 70s and 80s, but now, 2024, 488 points and 40.7 points per game. They're going to hit the 500 mark in the conference championships.
Yeah, last time I checked, that's a lot more points.
That's a very lot more points. Now, these guys live and die by the spread. There are a lot of options. You can have the explosive wide receivers on the outside. You have the power running back up the middle. But at the end of the day, they have these options and they are able to create a dynamic offense, and a lot that ACC teams haven't seen yet.
Right, and so I'll ask you, like, because of the 12-team playoff and the ability to include more teams in the big dance, I mean, an SMU in a 6-team or an 8-team might miss out. I mean, they might, if they lose the ACC, they might have not made it. Like, say Clemson wins next Saturday. I mean, there's a real chance that if this wasn't a 12-team playoff, SMU doesn't make it in.
Absolutely.
Where SMU, I mean, if you've tuned into any SMU games so far this year, they're really
They're electric.
Impressive.
Hell, I watched them against Duke, and it was electric. And as you were saying with the ACC championship game, Miami lost to Syracuse in what was basically an ACC semifinal.
Right.
So Now they face Clemson. So we have a very interesting dichotomy here. We have the stalwart pioneer that is Clemson against the upstart newcomer that is SMU. So we expect fireworks. I expect fireworks at Bank of America Stadium in a couple weeks.
I agree, and I think it's even more interesting to talk about the fact that if Clemson wins, you'll get a 3-loss ACC team in the college football playoffs.
Look,
it's crazy.
anything for the bye.
Anything for the bye, exactly. All right, thank you guys both. Now, the weather is cold outside. Last time I checked, it was sub 30 degrees, which means it's a bad time for a t-shirt, but the perfect time for some hockey. Our analysts Cam Veal, Danielle DuBois, and Evan Sharrard are recapping the craziness around the rink to start the NHL season. Guys?
Well, Noah, it has been an Well, Noah, it has been an incredible start to the NHL season, and I feel like we got to talk about one of the greatest teams of all time. Sorry, I just dropped something right here. It's my beautiful, glorious Washington Capitals. Oh my goodness, they are off to. Sorry,
show the whole
sorry,
thing.
Gotta show my beautiful Lars Eller signature. A man who has made his return to the Washington Capitals after a brief yet always disgusting tenure with the Pittsburgh Penguins. And that's another reason why the Cavs have been doing so well this season. They're adding to their depth. Having a solid third-line center like Lars Eller is going to boost them up. It's going to boost their young guys who have been playing incredibly. They are off to a 17-6-1 start. They are first in the Metropolitan, third overall, and they only have one more loss than the Minnesota Wild, who are at the top of the league standings. We got to talk about the man himself, my GOAT, Alexander Ovechkin. He has been playing incredible. Before he broke his leg against the Utah Hockey Club, he was leading the league. And how old is he? Can someone remind me? 39. A 39-year-old man was leading the league in scoring. He was also leading the club in goals. He is leading every category, including broken legs. But that's okay, because the Washington Capitals have another secret weapon. The greatest Connor Mick in the league. You might be thinking McDavid, but you're wrong. It is my glorious king, Connor McMichael. He is only one goal below Ovi. He has 24 points in 24 games. He has been absolutely electric, and it just goes to show what can happen when you let your team develop in the AHL. Our rookies, Hendrix Lapierre, Ivan Miroshnichenko, they have been doing incredibly well adapting to the NHL. And coming off a Calder Cup win, 2 back-to-back Calder Cup wins, I'm very excited to see where this team goes. We had the best offseason. Logan Thompson has only lost 1 game, and I'm very excited to see when we win the Stanley Cup in April or June.
I mean, I can't debate with that. They are such a good team, and honestly, I didn't expect it. They had a really good offseason, but I wasn't expecting it to be this good for them, especially the big pickup with Logan Thompson. Huge deal, because goaltending, definitely an issue for you guys in the past. Now, moving on to some not so good of times, the Boston Bruins. Here in Boston, it is a rough time to say the least. They are 12-11, starting off very mediocre, which is fine for other teams. Not here in Boston. They fired their head coach, Jim Montgomery, which some people might have found shocking. I didn't. It was getting to be a point where the Bruins were stuck in the same old rut, and they have some good players on their team, and it clearly, the method between Montgomery and them was not working out anymore. So they bring in Joe Sacco inside of the system, interim head coach. Ever since then, 4-2 record, and they have outscored opponents 16-11 in those 6 games. It kind of looks like a different team, but also we know that they're going to resort back at this point. They are really good offensively lately, but at some point, you got to look at the roster and blame it on management. So the Bruins, they have some rough times going ahead, but maybe Joe Sacco can flip things around for them.
Yeah, that's always tough to kind of break down with a team that's been so successful, Danielle. And we've talked about it in the past, especially with the Bruins firing Jim Montgomery after their team couldn't score goals. Now they can. Is that really a head coach's problem? Probably not. But hopefully, yeah, you're right. Hopefully they do turn it around like this team has, because the Winnipeg Jets are really unbelievable this season compared to where they have been. And it's going to switch over in a second, and you'll have seen that they won 18 games so far this season. The Winnipeg Jets, they have started the season with the greatest start in NHL history, winning 14 games, losing just 1. No overtime losses here. And you can see the points the shots and the face-off percentages here. But really, they've had 5 guys that have scored over 20 points right now, and the Winnipeg Jets were quoted basically saying to this paraphrase point that this difference is the leadership, the coaching, and the experience that this team's had. And this has been a team that I think's been waiting to be this good. Winnipeg slowed down recently. They're in the middle of a 3-game skid. They just lost their last game, but they also are dealing with the Nikolai Ehlers injury right now. But their top 5 scorers include Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, Nikolai Ehlers, Josh Morrissey, and Neil Pionk. And I think those last 2 are very important to mention because when you have 2 of your top pairing defensemen on there, that means that your team's really running at a high octane level, especially on the power play, which is where they've done a lot of their work. So the Winnipeg Jets kind of in a cold streak right now, but we always have to mention the best goalie in hockey right now, Connor Hellebuck, who's leading the NHL with 3 shutouts. He's been a Vezina candidate for pretty much his entire career, and right now he's got a 2.11 goals against average, exceptional. He's kept them in games, but he's also been joined by a great offense and defense. And that's really why the Winnipeg Jets have gotten off to the best start ever after the Bruins just a few years ago were the best team ever. Noah, that's what we got. How about you guys?
Yeah, sharp as always, guys. Now, let's switch gears to Formula One as the season comes to a dramatically predictable close as Max Verstappen is crowned champion, but still all to play for in the Constructors' Championship. With me again are Danielle DuBois and Cam Veal to recap the up and down season and look ahead to the final race of the year. Danielle?
That's right, Noah. Now, like you said, Max Verstappen winning another championship, his 4th in a row. It was exciting this season compared to others because he did have a little bit of competition with Lando Norris trying to sneak in there. But at the end of the day, Max Verstappen was the guy. But there are some more exciting pieces of this season, huh, Cam?
Well, the Constructors' Championship is gearing up, especially after that last race in Qatar. Only 8 points separate McLaren and Ferrari. I don't know how it's going to shake up because, honestly, after that last race, Lando Norris dropped to 12, no points. Oscar Piastri had to step up. But there might be some trouble in Maranello. Carlos and Charles, there's been a little bit of a beef brewing since Carlos will be leaving the team. And I don't know if they can pick it back up. McLaren has been very consistent this year.
That is the big thing going into the final race of the season is the consistency. And that's why, personally, I think McLaren will have the slight edge over Ferrari. They already are in the lead, like you said. But having that consistency is really key. And Lando and Oscar have been consistently in the top 5, where there has been some trouble there with Carlos and Charles, the double C duo there. Yeah. But they are talented drivers, and the car is a solid car, as we've seen this season, but I think McLaren just has a slight edge overall.
I don't know. I think Ferrari can pull it out of the hat. It really depends. I think they might go racing. Lando and Oscar, they're always at the top of the field. You know who else is? This man, and for a good reason.
That's true.
If Lando and Max go racing once more, he might slip up and Charles can scoot through. It happened before. They've been very consistent on the podiums. And honestly, I'm really excited to see how it shakes up in Abu Dhabi. But Danielle, I do have one question for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
Is Max Verstappen in the GOAT conversation?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, when you look at the car that he's been given the past 4 years, he was given the best car on the grid 3 of those 4 years. This year, not so much, but he still made it happen. It was still a great car. Not the best on the grid. You can argue that. Yeah. But based off of the way that he drives and his mindset and his skill, the way he plans out each of his races is something we haven't seen before. And I know you're a huge Lewis fan, and I love Lewis myself too, but he might be sneaking up there real fast.
I don't know. I think Max, he's got it, but we'll see how it goes at the end of this season. Tune in this weekend to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Noah, back to you.
High octane stuff, guys. We'll have to see how it shapes up in Abu Dhabi. We're going to head to a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we'll be talking about the wild world of the NFC, the biggest shocks in college football, and a season finale tradition. Stick with us.
That's actually makes me mad. Besides the vampires from
Welcome back to the box score. Now, it's not news to anyone that this year in the NFL has been dominated by the NFC. But at the end of the day, only 7 teams get to continue their season, and 4 of them are division winners. We'll go division by division with our correspondents and find out who they think will keep their Super Bowl hopes alive. Joining me is Kyler, Maira, Everest Leach, Danielle DuBois, and Evan Sharrard. Kyler, you were given the best group of 4 in the league, the NFC North. Who comes out on top?
Well, the team that comes on top are the 2024-2025 Super Bowl champion Detroit
Whoa,
Lions.
okay, bold
Bring
claim
the colors
early.
too to match,
Bold
I
claim
see.
because look, it's not surprising. They're going to top their division. They're only 1 game ahead, but I'm not concerned about them. If we look at that division, it is the best team, and that's why 3 of the teams are going to make the playoffs.
Okay.
That's not a hot take. The Lions, the Packers, and the Vikings are going to get in. The Bears looked more gummy than Grizzly this year. Let's be honest.
Okay.
So going into this, I think that the interesting part about this is who gets second place. And I think it's going to be the Packers, which right now they're behind the Minnesota Vikings. But the Vikings, they have 2 tough games coming up, the Detroit Lions and the Packers themselves. And I think that the Packers will flip it on the Vikings. I'm worried because the teams that are doing well this year are the teams with a great O-line and a great ground game. And the Packers' ground game has been so successful in the last couple games. Josh Jacobs in particular has been scoring touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. And because of that, when they battle each other in Week 17, I think the Packers are going to win that game. Go ahead and look out for next week. Kirk Cousins comes back to face off against the Vikings.
Dude, the Atlanta Falcons, I'm sorry, Danielle, but the Atlanta Falcons look really bad these last couple weeks.
I feel like that's a trap game. Sure, the Vikings will be favorites, but that's definitely a trap game for Sam Darnold and company.
Okay. We're going to move a little bit around the table. Everest, you have the NFC East.
Yeah, the East is always fun, always interesting. It's been 7 years since the teams won this division in back-to-back years, and that trend's going to continue.
So, are you making a Pennsylvania joke? Gettysburg?
A little bit, yeah. We'll get there. But the Cowboys obviously aren't going to win it this year. They've really underperformed, I think, to their own expectations and expectation of their fans, leaving really just the Eagles and the Commanders. And I want to give the Commanders...
Wow, you're not even talking about the Giants.
No, we don't need to talk about
There's
that.
no need.
The Commanders started out this season really impressing everybody. I mean, Jaden Daniels has been awesome as a rookie. They got out to an early division lead. The Eagles kind of struggled early on, but in this second half of the season, we have really seen these Philadelphia Eagles come on. I think they're going to take it, win this division. The Commanders can still make the playoffs, but as we see Saquon with the unbelievable jump over a defender backwards, the Eagles just look like the best team, and you have to give Howie Roseman a lot of credit, not only for signing Saquon, but additions on defense with Vic Fangio, young draft pick, Zach Bond has been amazing.
Zach Bond has been fantastic.
Fantastic, and I think the Eagles are going to win that.
The Eagles, as many call them. No, the Eagles are very, very good. Undoubtedly. There were the doubters early on in the year.
Fair.
And I still think the division could be potentially up for grabs. The Eagles have a tough schedule, but alas, Danielle.
Yes.
We're switching coasts.
Yes.
We're going to the NFC West. Who knows what's happening in the NFC West? I certainly don't, because the Niners are not good. The Cardinals are good again, but also just lost a really bad game to the Vikings. The Rams are I mean, what is happening?
It's a weird division, to say the least, Noah. I can't say any of these 4 teams are Super Bowl bound. It's the matter of fact of who's going to win the division and then lose first round in the playoffs, most likely.
Whoa, wait, listen, you never know.
You never know.
Don't discount them.
I won't discount them just yet, but I personally think that the Seattle Seahawks are going to win the division.
Okay.
Now it could be a debate for any team. You can easily take any of these teams and say they're going to win this division.
But why the Seahawks then?
The Seahawks, I personally think that they have the most complete offense of any other team. And their defense is just good enough to get by.
Yeah.
And that's what they need at this point. They just need consistent scoring, which they're able to do because they have a good running back duo. They have 3-star wide receivers. You have Lockett, you have Metcalf, you have Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's incredible.
Yeah.
That offense is just so good. And Geno is good enough in there. He gets the ball to one of those 3 wide receivers or running backs. Job's done.
Yeah.
It's easy for them.
And I'm glad you brought up the Seahawks defense because they had a great game yesterday against the Jets.
They did.
Leonard Williams, former first-round pick for the Jets. I mean, he really manhandled the Jets' offensive line. And, I mean, it was a really solid performance over, I hate to be like, oh, the Jets are a trap game for every team because who knows how they're going to come out. But they really are. I mean, they're playing in MetLife. It was cold yesterday. I mean, the Seahawks really performed well, and they made a statement in a tough game where they really needed to win that one to keep their playoff hopes alive, especially with Arizona losing, with the Niners losing. They're starting to pull ahead.
Push.
The Rams lost last week. They were on the bye. The Rams really lost the bye week. But Evan, you're going to round us off. There's one division left in the NFC. It's the NFC South. Possibly only division weirder than the NFC West.
Yeah, the NFC South. So I did this whole preparation thing by going through each team's last bit of their schedule, their last 5 games, and it came down to 2 teams, really because the other 2 were so bad. And it's the Falcons and the Buccaneers. And for me, there's one team that I think is better, but there's the other team that, like, it's so hard to talk about.
Could I guess that you think that the Falcons are better, but the Buccaneers are playing better?
That's absolutely right.
Okay, and I would agree. I mean, if you've watched the Falcons over the past 4 weeks, they've looked
It's been a
like
bad.
a not
Yeah, they've been tremendously kind of average, which
Yes.
really hasn't made sense based on the offensive weapons that they have. They bring in Kirk Cousins this season, and we look at these highlights for the Buccaneers. This is their last week's game against the Carolina Panthers, where, believe it or not, the Buccaneers have scored more points than the Falcons this year, as they've scored 335 points this season, and the Falcons have scored almost 70 less with 257. And they've only allowed 5 more points in Tampa Bay. Now, you can't see the clock here, but this is the final 30 seconds of the game as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go down. So this drive, a game-winning drive chance, game-tying drive, and with 17 seconds left, a huge scramble. You take a sack there, you lose the game. And then with 6 seconds left, there's a completion right there. And now we cut back. They kick a game-tying field goal. They miss a field goal in overtime. They force overtime on that field goal. And then they force a turnover in overtime and then go down and win the game.
They're making big plays.
They're making big plays in big moments. They're winning games ugly. I like that. Their final 5 games, they play the Raiders, the Chargers, the Dallas Cowboys, the Panthers, and the Saints. I think they probably lose one of those games, but they got swept by the Falcons this year. So they have pretty much no room for error. However,
they've probably got to win out other than that Chargers game because the Chargers actually
they've got about a loss in there. The Vikings, Raiders, Giants, Commanders, and Panthers are the remaining Falcons schedule. I think they lose 2 of those games. But, Kyler, like you said, Vikings are a trap game because they're playing the Falcons, who are that trap team. And we'll see what happens. This is a toss-up.
I hate to cut everyone off here as we end this segment, but I do have to say that honestly, the Panthers are looking good. People are counting out Bryce Young. Bryce Young has completely outplayed C.J. Stroud as of the past 4 weeks. Some tough conversations to be had. But still, everything to play for. Thank you guys so much. Now, back to the racetrack. Cadillac has been approved by Formula One and the FIA to become the 11th team on the grid starting in 2026. Breaking down the breaking news with me is Danielle DuBois and Camilla Veal. Danielle, what does this mean going forward?
Well, Noah, this is so exciting. Not only are we getting another F1 team on the grid in 2026, but it's an American F1 team. Now, this is exciting for multiple different reasons. Not only are we seeing a new car, we're going to get 2 more drivers on the lineup here, but Andretti finally made his way into F1. And I like to think that this is the Trojan horse way of getting him in here because F1 said no way, Jose, to that so many times. It's been a year-long thing. Andretti kept coming after it, and they kept saying no. So he said, you know what? Cadillac, this is going to be my way to get in. And here we are. Cam, what are your thoughts?
I mean, it took him a while to get in there, and they rejected him the first time because, we got to say it, the FIA, they're a little too proud of themselves. They couldn't handle Andretti making a couple comments. So Mario Andretti is going to be part of the Cadillac team as an ambassador, and this is really exciting for many reasons. 1, he brings his own motorsport pedigree, and 2, Cadillac is a big name. GM is a big name. They've had multiple winning series in Le Mans and Indy, and this is a big deal because we're getting more drivers, like you said, and also American drivers, but also it has been floated around the idea of a 12th team joining the grid, which could be more drivers, more American drivers even. But I'm really excited to see going forward who the drivers are going to be for Cadillac. Could Logan Sargent make his return? I don't know. But
you never know. Maybe I want to throw out the names. Danny Rick, he could come back.
He's basically American.
Exactly. You know, he claims Texas as his own, so that's basically the same thing. But the driver, I'm really excited to see that. I think genuinely could have a seat at Cadillac. Pato O'Ward.
Completely agree.
He's been talked about getting into the F1 scene for years now, and he's done so well in Indy. This is a great way for him to break in here. I would not be surprised if that's his home for the next few years.
I completely agree, and I think joining him should be Colton Herta. I think he deserves it. I think he's the better American racer, and I'm really excited to see that Cadillac, they could be a mid-table team. They could be competing for points, and that's always good to see on the racetrack. But it's going to be awesome.
They aren't going to be the last team on the grid.
They're not Williams.
That's for sure, right?
They're not Sauber.
Williams out there, Sauber's out there. It could be a really, really awesome team. So excited to see it. Noah?
Yeah, I'm really excited too, guys. I can't lie. I'm throwing the Pato Awards out there. I mean, you're speaking my language. But the idea of having an actual, real American team on the grid, super fun. Hopefully they can produce a competitive car. But in the meantime, we've seen some huge upsets, huge brawls, some unexpected competitors, and major underachievers in college football this season. Things you would call surprises. Well, with me to talk about some of the programs who have shocked us in one way or another this year is Everest Leach, Evan Sharrard, and Aidan Crooke. Everest, get us started. Who's been a surprise this season?
Yeah, no, I think there's honestly a couple of teams we can look to in terms of positive surprises. If you want to talk about Arizona State, who was picked to finish last in the Big 12 and now
they've had a great
has a shot at the college football playoff if they win that game. You can talk about Indiana. They've had a great year. But I want to talk about a real blue blood of college football who I think has kind of gone disrespected and under the radar this year, and that's Notre Dame.
I like that. I like that. They're one of those types of teams that, like, especially the past couple of years, like, they're good, but they're not good enough.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they kind of ride on that, they're independent, they don't play a ton of big conference games, and people kind of think that, they're good, but they're going to get rocked by some of those top-level programs. I think this year's a little bit different for Notre Dame. This team has the highest average scoring margin in college football. They are winning games by the most of anybody this year. They're 4th in points per game, and their defense is 3rd in scoring. So this team is really solid. They get Riley Leonard from Duke, and he's been good, 700 yards and 14 touchdowns just rushing on the ground, not to mention his air capabilities, and they've got awesome running backs. They did lose to Northern Illinois in what was not a great loss, but it's one you look around and everybody's lost games as we see this dynamic running back duo of Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. I really like this Notre Dame team.
I would agree with you. I think a lot of people in the college football world have said, well, why do Notre Dame get a pass for the Northern Illinois game? And it's like, I feel like every college football team has a loss like that throughout the season. I mean, you look at, especially there's like teams who have 2 losses. And the way that Notre Dame are blowing out these teams.
Games aren't close.
They have killed at the time ranked Navy. They killed now ranked Army. It was they were blowouts. Really, really not close games, and they've been doing that all season. I'm really glad you brought up Notre
Marcus
Dame.
Freeman has those guys playing.
Yeah, and I think Marcus Freeman has really hit his stride, which is nice to see. Evan, you've got the other end of the spectrum in terms of the fact that Notre Dame are surprising people in a positive way. Your team is not surprising people in that way.
Well, Everest, you mentioned that the team projected to finish last in the Big 12. Well, they just crushed this team, 49-7 in rivalry week, beating Arizona, who was number 21 at the beginning of the year, number 20 after week 2. They scored 60-plus points in their first game of the year.
Reminds me of a certain team that Aidan might bring up in a couple minutes.
It could, but maybe, yes, absolutely. But this team, Arizona, they were highly touted because of Noah Fafita's ability through the air. He had a great sophomore year, and this year he leads the Big 12 in interceptions with 12. Thrown 18 touchdowns, 12 picks, and last season he had 25 touchdown passes, 6 interceptions. And really, this thing has just gone totally awry. Their offense can't score points, averaging just over 21 per game, but their defense is 110 in all of college football of 134 qualified teams.
I would say that 110 out of 134.
It's
maybe not great.
And they just
exceptionally ungood.
Yes, they're 1-7 in their last 8 games.
That's very bad.
Yeah, they started strong, but then they played the Big 12, and it just went completely downhill. So it's going to be one of those transition years for a team that's used to being in that Pac-12.
They'll recruit well. They'll get their back. And I think Noah Fafita, interesting of a season he's had. He's still very raw as a prospect. I'm not out on the Noah Fafita hype train.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to work with there.
And there's something to be said for the offensive line there as well.
I would have to agree. Yeah. Okay.
And there's still time for him to develop as well.
Exactly. He's got another. He's not declaring. I mean, he's got time. I'm not out on Noah Fafita or on Arizona. I think it was, like you said, one of those transition years. But a year that maybe not a transition year, maybe just plain bad. Aidan, tell us about that program.
I hate to say it, but if we compared Florida State's collapse to various tragic events, I'm not sure we could properly compare it. That said, they are offensively inept. Let's think about this for a minute. 2023, they are scoring 34 points per game. They have 60 total touchdowns and a 25-4 touchdown to interception ratio.
That sounds
this
very
year,
good.
holy heck, flip the script. 15.6 points per game, 20 total touchdowns, and 11-13 touchdown to interception
They've
ratio.
only scored 20 touchdowns all year.
All year, and the season's over for them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now here's the
not
thing.
bowl eligible.
But we also have to think they went through 3 quarterbacks. It wasn't just DJ. It wasn't just the guy behind him. But let's think about this: 3 different quarterbacks, and you get the same outcomes each time. Krummenhoek, and I probably botched his name. I do apologize, but he took 25 sacks, 2-5.
And how many games?
God knows, but I think
It's too many.
Too many.
It's too many.
You take 25 sacks in the season, that's already bad, but you take 25 sacks as the third string? There is something horribly wrong.
Yeah.
And the roster turnover doesn't help. We saw that how they got snubbed from the playoff last year and how practically all of their starters either went to the league or said, oh, I'm not in the playoff, I'm out.
Right.
Now, here's the thing. It does seem like it's an offhand year. It just happens,
Right,
obviously.
it's not a Florida State type
It's
of
not
thing
a
to
Florida
do.
State type of thing to do.
uncommon.
But you have to be sure to look at the high school market, especially in Florida, which is a very dominant prospect market, as well as the transfer portal, because there's going to be a lot of people who want to play for a Power 4 team with the pedigree that is the Florida State Seminoles. But if Mike Norvell wants to stay in the head coaching job, he has to, and I absolutely insist, has to get those recruits signed to Tallahassee.
Yeah, and with Miami playing good now, with Florida having a strong end to the season, Florida State's going to lose out on a lot of those commits at the end of the year. But what's not a surprise? How good this season of the box score has been. Well, in classic fashion, we've sent our field correspondent Abe Beitler out into the world to a place many at Emerson College doesn't know exists: cheer practice. Abe got a great chance to talk to the Emerson cheer squad to get a behind-the-scenes look into the work they put in before they fly high during games.
I'm Abe Beitler from the Box Score. Today we're at the Emerson basketball gym, and we're going to be talking to the Emerson cheer team.
I'm Sid. I'm a senior, and I'm a VMA major, and I'm the captain of the Emerson cheer squad.
What brought you to the team?
I decided to kind of take a risk with Emerson cheer because it's not a traditional cheer squad. There's a lot of things that make all of us more passionate to be here than compared to a high school cheer squad. So
what is different about this team from kind of your past experiences?
One big difference is that we don't have a coach, like a formal coach, so it's basically just us students leading the team, but I think we do a really good job. Us, the captains, we have a lot of cheer experience and really put our knowledge together to help everyone else.
What's it like kind of being a captain of this team?
I love it. I got to design our new uniforms, which are coming next month, and we got our new palms and everything, which has been really nice. I love everyone down there. They're so nice, so lovely.
What's the org fair like with the Emerson cheer?
We come in our uniforms. We are standing there, and this last time we had a little bucket with, it said, do a trick for a treat, I think. We just kind of go over, what our uniforms look like, what events we do, happens at our practices, try to get as many people involved as we can. We have a few open spots next semester, so we're trying to get a few more people involved on campus.
we're gonna teach Abe here a cheer, and we brought him his very own pair of palms.
Get my own pair.
So let's see how he does, I guess. Let's go purple. Lions. Let's hear that roar. Let's go purple. Yay. It's simple as that. You got it.
Cheering is hard. I don't think I'll make the squad, but you guys can find the Emerson cheer team at the org fair next semester. This has been a great season. I'm Abe Beitler from the Box Score. Back to you guys.
Abe, that was awesome. That was awesome. Aim, thank you so much for your hard work this season. It's been great to see you out and about. We're going to head to commercial real quick, but when we return, Everest will give us his updated Heisman rankings. We'll take a look at what's going on in Manchester, and our correspondents will try and fix them boys down in Dallas. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Season 18 finale of the Box Score. There's a few teams in the NHL who have found their head below frozen water. Get it? Because frozen water is ice. Anyways, those teams need some fixing fast before it's too late. Joining me to try and save a sinking ship is Danielle DuBois, Camilla Veal, Everest Leach, and Evan Sharrard. Now, Danielle needs to turn things around, and how?
Oh, so I have a tough job here with the Canadians.
Ooh,
now, going into this season,
one.
I must say I was very excited. They changed some things in the management and the coaching, so I thought, hey, maybe this is what they need to bring a spark to this team. That's not true. They are 8-13-3 currently, and watching this team is a little bit difficult because they are so inconsistent, and that is really what's biting them right now. Their defensive play has not been good the entire season.
Some would say they don't have a defense.
Exactly. So going forward, you can either fix them by going out and getting some big name defenders or some big players. Some people that I was looking at were Trevor Zegras and then Haberdo. And I was like, yeah, you can make a big move, but that's not going to change this team overall. You're just going to have a really good player surrounded with some mediocre ones, and it's not going to change anything. What you have to do is a very slow rebuild. They are currently doing that, and it's just one of those things that's going to take a lot of time. They are not a thing where I can just fix their defense all right now before the trade deadline. That's just not possible with this team. So I think just
this is a long-term project.
Yes, making some small moves throughout this season, getting some smaller, some younger players to build up that third and fourth line and give them a little bit more depth, I think is the smartest way, because you don't want to make a big move and then instantly regret it for your rebuild. So small moves for the win.
Right, set up yourself for success in the future. It's a long, long game.
Exactly.
All right, Cam, you have a different team that a little underachiever, if you will.
I would say more than underachieving. The Nashville Predators.
Yeah.
Ooh, Lord.
What happened?
They look so good on paper, kind of like your Jets. No, I'm sorry.
I mean, it's just a completely different sport.
Well, you know, I just gotta poke a little fun at you, but
the cheap shot for what?
You are a Liverpool fan, but that's later. Anyway,
listen, I'm glad that you're on Hot Take Takeback later. Listen, you'll
come after
see.
Liverpool.
Okay. The Predators, they're 7-12-6. They're second and last in the division behind the Blackhawks. That's a win.
Right.
We'll take that. we thought they were going to be good this season. I mean, they signed Stamkos, they have Marchessault, Saros just re-signed. They're so good, but then they play like this. They're not on the penalty kill, but they're playing in the diamond. I don't really know what's going on. Roman Josi and Saros have been carrying the team.
Oh,
They're
this is
just,
embarrassing to watch.
I mean, what are they doing? It's 5-on-5.
They're playing so slowly. I don't know if I've ever seen a hockey game move in half speed.
You might think this is an AHL team because of the amount of youngsters, but no, they're actually the oldest team in the league.
Oh.
Maybe that also explains the slowness. But if I'm Barry Trotz, my beautiful king, I'm signing a center, someone who can replace Ryan O'Reilly, someone's faster, who's making those points. I have two choices: Kristen Dvorak from the Canadiens, that'll free up some of your cap space, or wild card Brock Nelson, who is a UFA.
Ooh, I like that one.
He can make those plays, and I think he can really elevate the Predators, who could be better, in the next season.
Maybe the Predators are gonna hire you as a consultant.
I don't think I can betray my Caps like that.
Wow, you're gonna turn down an NHL job?
It's different conferences.
You
can do it just for a couple of years.
Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah. All right, Everest.
Yeah, Danielle and Cam, I really admire you guys taking on some teams that are sinking ships and trying to rectify them. But I want to talk about a team that I think is kind of just already sunk. And now maybe they're trying to climb back up. That's the San Jose Sharks.
Yeah.
Now, this is
I think we're all trying.
We are all trying. The San Jose Sharks could be doing a bit of a better job of that. But this is a team that was competitive throughout the 2010s, some years with Joe Thornton. They never were as bad as it seems they've been in these past couple years. Since they made the Stanley Cup final, they have the 5th worst record in the league, and they're just kind of poorly run, small market, not a big free agent destination. But I do think there is some hope for the Sharks. They got Macklin Celebrini, and that's their first real #1 pick. It looks like he's going to be a hit. They need to continue to develop him and just get more players somehow, whether that's a new goalie because Mackenzie Blackwood isn't cutting it. They need more help there. Maybe an Aiden Hill in this upcoming free agency could be an improvement there.
Okay.
I don't think it's all lost with the Sharks. William Eklund even is a 22-year-old who's performing well this year. So they have pieces. They just need to really commit to this rebuild and keep developing them, and we'll see.
They've got the bits and the bobs, but they need to connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Absolutely.
Now,
yes,
you have a team that needs to connect a little bit of everything.
The capital of Canada.
Ooh.
The Ottawa Senators.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Ottawa Senators are kind of on the back end of this 4-year stretch where they're, wow, this team was really bad. And then, wow, they're kind of turning it around. Last season, they brought in Vladimir Tarasenko. This year, he's off in Detroit playing with his former division rival, Patrick Kane. And they bring in Claude Giroux, and this team gets a little older. They also have a really strong core. And right now, the Senators are 10-12-2, which is 7th in the Atlantic. Still an entire season left. You can turn it around. But the way that things are going, and the way that things have been going for the Senators, I just don't think it's on paper right now for them to compete. But these highlights are all Brady Tkachuk. And I wanted to highlight him because he is a do-it-all player who I think not only is he here for pretty much forever, he's going to be there through 2028. He's not even the best player on this team. And that's important because this team has a really good young core of players.
Right.
Tim Stützle is here forever.
Electric.
And then, yes, and Josh Norris is also there forever. And he's their second line center right now. These are the top 4 lines right now. You got Giroux, Stützle, and then Adam Gaudette, who is really a 4th line checking forward. He's playing up there. He's got 1 goal this year. Brady Tkachuk, Josh Norris, and then Drake Batherson, 13 goals, 9 goals, and 9 goals respectively. And then from there on out, it just kind of falls off. You do have Mike Amadio and Shane Pinto on that 3rd line. But beyond that, there aren't really enough names for me to go, yeah, this is a team that should be competing.
Right. They're in the midst of the, all right, maybe.
They're tweeners. They're tweeners.
Yeah, tear a little down,
Yeah.
get a little capital,
I think
get
you
a
gotta,
little better, tear a little
get,
down again.
You got to get younger.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they tried to think this could be it. We might be ready. But right now, it's just kind of showing they don't have the pieces to put it together. And I think that they're maybe a year or 2 away now.
That's kind of the state of the NHL right now is if you're not getting younger, you're not getting better.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
It's a faster game.
Thank you guys. Maybe you should all be GMs. But, moving on, we're going to head to the Triple Monitor again, where Everest is here with his new and improved Heisman rankings. And I'm expecting a little bit of a shakeup. Will it be the best running back in the nation? Or will it be the man who can seemingly do it all? Everest, tell it how it is.
Thank you, Noah. We are back with my Heisman Mountain, and starting things off at number 5 is going to be maybe a controversial choice in here. It's the tight end from Penn State, Tyler Warren. Everyone may go, what, a tight end in the Heisman rankings? Yes, Tyler Warren is that guy. He has 81 receptions, 978 receiving yards. That's third in the Big Ten in receiving, not just for tight ends, total. He's a versatile weapon. He's got 6 catches, touchdown catches through the air, 4 on the ground. They use him in every package. He's been awesome. Moving on to number 4, he was here last week. It's Cam Ward. Still been great, although Miami has lost another game to Syracuse. Cam Ward's just awesome, at least as a college quarterback, 2nd in total touchdowns, 3rd in passer rating. The guy just produces. Look at those numbers. He's been great. Miami's had one of their best seasons in who knows how long. He deserves to be in the running. But at 3, I have Dillon Gabriel overtaking him, the Oregon quarterback. 31 total touchdowns to just 8 turnovers. He's been tremendous, and this Ducks team, like we've been saying, looks to be the best in college football and the only team that just hasn't lost. Gabriel's a huge part of that. Completion percentage, excellent, 3rd in the country. He's been awesome. Number 2 is the guy that I had at number 1 last week and who's probably still going to end up winning it. That's Travis Hunter. And if he ends up winning the whole thing, he deserves it because he's been remarkable. The receiving numbers are awesome. He's number 5 in the country in yards. He has the touchdowns. He has been the guy on Colorado's offense. And defensively, 4 interceptions. That's a career high on the season for him. He's been remarkable there as well, playing both sides of the ball at an extreme level. Those who say he's the Taysom Hill of college football, what are we doing? He is clearly awesome on both sides of the ball. But Ashton Jeanty is going to take that top spot for me this week, and I know everybody's been wanting it. He's just unbelievable. The last 3 running backs to win the Heisman, Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, Reggie Bush, he's been better than all of those guys significantly this year. He's a highlight machine. He's so much fun to watch. And if it was up to me, he'd be getting that Heisman Trophy in New York this year. That's all I have for this edition of the Everest Heisman Mountain. Sending it back to you, Noah.
Why don't we just split it in half and give it to both of them, to be completely honest with you? I mean, this is getting ridiculous. But now, taking a quick trip across the pond, we're heading to Manchester, where Man City has been looking lackluster, to say the least. But with me to talk about the defending champs' struggles are my resident soccer nerds and frequent name callers, pun havers, and overall people I have to make sure don't leap across the desk to choke each other. I'm joined by Kyler, Maira, and Cam Veal. Now, Kyler, what's going on with this shaky City squad? And do it without jumping across the table and choking out Cam.
Sounds good. I'll do just that. Okay. And I'll tell you, they don't look good. We are seeing why it was...
In other news, the sky is blue.
Exactly. We're seeing why Rodri definitely should have won the Ballon d'Or, because boy, are they missing him. Mm-hmm. Without him, they're having to play players like Gundogan further back, and he's past his prime. He's slower. He's not doing what they need. We're seeing that in Mayhem in Madrid that we did just a little bit ago. Yeah. I said, you know what, Madrid will be fine, right? They have an experienced head coach who's calm, and the gap wasn't that big. And look what happened. They actually have more points per game than Barcelona right now. Yes. They're only behind because they've played 1 less game. This situation feels different. Pep is losing his mind.
Did you see that interview?
He scratched up his head.
What was his quote? I want to hurt myself?
I know, and
it was really sad.
He was like making gestures at the Liverpool fans about having 6 titles, and it felt like in 2020 when Trent Alexander-Arnold potentially handballed it, and he went ballistic at the refs, and he lost the state of the team right there. And this has happened before. In 2020, Liverpool got to a crazy early lead, and it was just insurmountable for second half City, the best team in soccer, to come back from. Yeah. And that's where we're headed this year. So if I'm a City fan, I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think he's missing Jurgen a little bit. You know, he's missing his fan. But
yeah. I mean, okay. I have to say it. I'm really enjoying this new era of Man City.
I think we all are. Like, you're saying the silent part out loud.
I feel like the Grinch. My heart is growing 3 sizes. I have 115 things to be happy about. And one of those is that for the first time since 2008, City have lost 7 in a row. 7 beautiful games to hate watch.
Wow.
But part of me feels bad for Pep. I mean, since Erik ten Hag is gone, he's got to be the new Baldy. And I feel like he's losing the players. He's
lost the locker room.
He's lost the locker room for a team that has been so good. They've won everything. Pep has won everything. He should know not to take his foot off the gas.
Right.
I think he might be pressing down on the gas a little too hard, and it's broken. His intensity might be too much for these players who are worn down, and they're playing against teams that have gotten better. His tactics are more well-known. When your inverted wingers aren't that fast, you can't really defend against them. I mean, we saw against the game in Feyenoord, Ederson comes out and he just gets chipped in the header. It was disastrous. To see the look on Pep's face while it healed me, a teeny tiny part of me felt bad for him because he's an incredible tactician, but the players, they're losing some sort of connection or respect. Well, I don't think it's the same.
It's the same players that just aren't performing as good as because they're old. It makes sense. Kyle
year.
Walker, 34, can't keep up anymore. He was always so fast.
To keep up with.
And now he's older, he's slower. Kevin De Bruyne doesn't look startable. Let's be honest.
No,
and he
that's
used
a
to be
tough
amazing.
conversation to have.
He used to be
riding the
amazing.
bench.
Yeah.
Kevin De Bruyne is one of the best midfielders, really, in football history.
Exactly. And we saw shades of it last year. Holland only scoring against weaker teams.
Yeah.
It's happening again. Can he pick it up? That's going to be City's thing.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's enjoyable to see the downfall.
Hope it stays that way.
I agree, but I'm gonna bite my tongue for now. There's a lot of season left to play.
Plenty to go.
But no casualties during this segment, so I'll take that one as a win. We're gonna head to commercial one last time, but stay there or you'll miss some of the best content the Box Score has to offer with our season annual segment, Hot Take Takeback. Stay right there.
Maggie, did you print out the scripts yet?
No, that was your job.
Maggie, oh my God, I do it every week.
No,
I told you this is the one
but we
I
talked
didn't
about
want
this.
responsibility.
Okay. I need to pick my wedgie.
Oh my God, look, they got us slushies.
Freeze.
Oh my God, we're here.
He's queer.
Now get used to it. Come on, give me my mic. Mic me. Hi, I'm Christian Mudrick.
And I'm Maggie Morlap.
And you're watching Real Reactions.
On the Emerson channel.
Hi, I'm Aaron Kittingsburg, host of EIV's The Dish. Tune in everyone. I'm Evan Sharrard, and this is Film Room, episode 5. So we're going to close it out with probably the play of the year on Film Room so far. So as this loads up, we're going to be taking you into Thanksgiving Day. And if you were like me, you were able to catch a little bit of this game. And I only was able to catch the end of this game, but I didn't miss this. This is the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. There are 30 seconds left on the clock. It's kind of cut off right here. Caleb Williams got the ball back after his defense made a stop. We've got about a minute of footage, so let's play it right here. Third down will be coming up after this play. It's 2nd and 20. A quick 9 technique gets right off the edge. Sack. Okay, right now Bears have 1 timeout. You call it here or you go hurry up. So there's a little bit of celebration here from the Lions. We get a look at Caleb Williams. He's going, let's get back. Clock. We got to go fast. We're going to get a playoff. We're not calling the timeout. Okay, still over 20 seconds left on the clock. Now it's down to under 15 seconds right about now. You got to get this play off with about 13 seconds to get a second play. They're still lining up. 10 seconds left on the clock. They still aren't calling a timeout. On the top of the sideline, they're freaking out. There's zeros on the clock. This is the last play of the game. They didn't call a timeout. They throw it towards the right side. Incomplete pass. No pass interference call. We'll get another look at this with the all-22 footage. Right here, a sack. And now we're going to get the quarterback view here. Look right over here. The right tackle completely misses, and you can play it now. Right tackle completely misses the 9 technique. Didn't see him. And so that ruined the chances. But here's where you got to call the timeout. And this is what everybody was talking about again after the game. Tony Romo, Jim Nantz, they were like, I don't know what you're doing. You have to call that timeout. And that, I was thinking, is this Matt Eberflus saying to Caleb Williams before the game, all right, I'm going to trust you no matter what happens, or am I going to call a timeout? That's what I hope happened, because Eberflus got fired right after that. But if that's not what happened and somehow they blew calling a timeout with 30 seconds left on the clock and they ran that all the way down, could have had 2 plays, they got 1, and mind you, it's 23-20. They could have kicked a game-tying field goal. They missed that opportunity. That's the play of the week, and boy, was it a doozy. Noah, right back to you.
Evan, so good as always. Thank you so much. That was my favorite of the year so far. All right, but the Dallas Cowboys have not been good this season. In other news, the sky is blue. But seriously, America's team has a lot to fix if they want to get back to winning ways next season. Luckily for them, they have the brilliant minds at the box score waiting in the wings to save them. With me is Evan Sharrard, Danielle DuBois, and Everest Leach. Evan, give us the first step in saving those boys in blue.
Yeah, well, the Dallas Cowboys have been this team since I was born, really. For the entirety of the 2000s, the 2010s, and the 2020s, this Cowboys team has really never been too far from competing for a Super Bowl, and they've always been in the conversation. There was a year in the early, mid-2000s where this team was a Super Bowl favorite, and they lost a tragic game where Tony Romo bobbled a snap and had to run down to the goal line, and they lost to the Seattle Seahawks. Well, they wouldn't win the Super Bowl, and they still haven't since 1995. This team needs a complete change in the front office and the coaching staff. They need to really pretty much clean house because you can't get rid of Jerry Jones. He owns the team. But if I had to name it, I do think that this man right here is the problem there because he's got such an incredible ego that there was a press conference when this team was going to the Super Bowl back in the 90s where Jerry Jones upstaged his own head coach. Nobody asked him a question and he stormed off. So yeah, if there's an owner with an ego, it's this guy. But because of that, you can't fix the owner. He's got the team. You got to fire the entire front office now and the head coach, Mike McCarthy, because there's a guy like Ben Johnson available for them to hire in the offseason. If you have a team that's been in the playoffs and they're known for, all right, this team's the best team in the league on paper for seemingly the last decade, that means that you need to change the culture because this team is so used to being that team that bringing in a guy like Ben Johnson, who's with the Detroit Lions and one of the top offensive minds in all of football, he's part of the culture that changed the all-time losingest organization in NFC history.
Evan, I gotta interrupt here though, just quickly though, because I mean, how desirable of a location is Dallas right now?
Well,
Dallas, especially for a guy like Ben Johnson, he'll have his pick of the litter. He can go wherever he wants.
Absolutely. Well, Dallas, like I said, they're every single year they're almost always the best team on paper. This team's been hit by the injury bug this year. Dak Prescott got hurt. They have completely underwhelmed based on their expectations. But hey, this team with a new front office, a new approach, and a new culture, a fresh start for a great team on paper might be all they need, especially when if you can create a culture that's like Patriot-like in the locker room, and then Jerry Jones is almost separated from what's going on the football side.
Good luck with that one. Good luck with separating.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Well, Jimmy Johnson did it, and they were pretty successful in the 90s.
Well, Jimmy Johnson's also Jimmy Johnson, and I don't know if we can call Ben Johnson Jimmy yet.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you're trying to do here, but I had a little bit of a different take on this. And I want to blow up the roster and change everything. Maybe not everything. Their defense is good. We do know this. They have some good players on their defense. And unlike the Canadians, when I said they need to change their defense and not so much their offense, the Cowboys need to change their offense and not so much their defense. I think they need to go after multiple different free agents in 2025. Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush, whichever one is in there, not the problem. It comes down to the wide receivers and the running backs that are clearly issues. Some free agents I want to throw out there that they can get in 2025. Godwin, Higgins, Aaron Jones, running back, would be great. Currently, they went after Ezekiel Elliott, who is the second running back on the Patriots. And that is their running back that they go with. That is their running back they go with. I will say it again, guys. Aaron Jones, please go after him. That is a star player that can add to this team. Maybe not star, but a good running back for this lacking Cowboys offense. It is just not an exciting offense to watch. It is really difficult to watch them. So I think blow up the roster, get some new talent on offense, and maybe you can get some winning record here.
Yeah, and I before you go, I mean, I gotta say, I mean, I agree, but I think there's, I mean, what about the offensive line? I mean, I feel like that's a pressing issue. I feel like the secondary is becoming an issue. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, the playmakers are an issue for sure, but there's a lot you gotta address there.
For sure, and Evan and Danielle, I really appreciate what both of you guys said regarding the front office, some free agents, some roster changes. I want to talk about the draft for this team. And Danielle, you mentioned they need run support. They need maybe Aaron Jones, or you go and get my guy
in the Heisman
in the draft. My number one, Ashton Venti. He was number one. Go get him. He is a transcendent running back, and it's not like this is a reach for the Cowboys because they're 31st in rush yards per game this season. That is dreadful, and they have so many needs like we've been talking about. Why not go get a generational talent? That's who this guy is. Just unbelievable. But if you can't get him, there's other options. Tackle, they definitely need Calvin Banks. They could use a lot. Go get someone in the draft.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I think the Calvin Banks shout is also really, really interesting. But yeah, I'm a fan. Thank you so much. Now, my favorite and least favorite part of each season, our final segment. I know, it's a sad, sad time, but don't dwell on it too long, because we have the beautiful opportunity to relish the best segment of each box score season, Hot Take Takeback. Now, this season we're going to change it up a little. Instead of playing the clip for you all to see, I'm going to read it out loud, and you guys at the desk will all have an opportunity to guess who said the statement. That person then will be able to take their take back or die on the hill. Capiche?
Caboose.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Great. Now getting started. Nick Sirianni should be fired by the Philadelphia Eagles. Who said this?
That was on the head coach one.
It was.
For sure, obviously.
Okay, good call out.
I wasn't on that one, so it couldn't
Oh,
have been me.
I was going to say Kyler.
It
so
could not have
I
been
was
me.
also going to say Kyler.
I'm a firm Nick Sirianni believer, so it was not me for sure.
Unfortunately, I was on that segment, and
Now, I gotta say,
that's my take.
Really?
yeah, they're 10-2. And you're still saying they gotta get rid of him.
I don't think that much of their success comes from him.
Wow. Really?
So I still wouldn't
The inventor
hate
of the
them
tush
firing
push?
him. But
10-2 is a ridiculous record.
it
to
is,
talk about
and
firing a
you
coach.
have to give Sirianni credit.
They're one game back in the NFC.
They're probably
That's
the
true.
second
They
most
also
likely
have-
team to win the Super Bowl.
I would agree.
Fair. They have a loaded roster. They have great coordinators on either side of the ball. Nick Sirianni has impressed me throughout the season, but I still stand by that take. When I said it at the time, wouldn't have hated it.
Yeah,
Would not have hated it.
I gotta disagree.
Yeah, I completely
That's a
disagree.
rough one.
Yeah, they are 10-2.
I'll agree with you, Everest.
Thank you, Cam.
I got you.
Yeah, no. This side of the
I'm
table
gonna
is
scoot.
Come on, guys.
This is box score veteran talk.
You don't want to catch whatever they
I don't
have.
want
No,
Yeah, no.
they're green. They're too green.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna move on to the next one. Illinois is capable of making the college football playoff. Now,
I think that might have been me.
That's a Kyler take.
Look,
that was you.
so here's what happened. We were doing long shots.
Dark horses.
And
dark horses.
You don't have to say they have a real shot at making the college football
Okay,
playoff.
here's my thinking. At the time, they had a big game against Oregon, right? And
Yeah, and you actually on the segment when I watched it back said it doesn't matter if they lose to Oregon as long as they win out.
they did not win out.
No, they didn't.
That was the problem, right?
No, they were not great.
Yeah, alarm bells should have gone off when they only beat Purdue by 1.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because-
and I saw an awesome stat the other day about Purdue. I gotta say it I really have to. If Purdue was given a 34-point lead during every game this season, they would be 6-6.
Oh my God.
Not good.
No, and Illinois beat them by
One.
In overtime.
Wild.
So Purdue would have crushed Illinois in
Yeah,
this
Purdue would have
hypothetical.
won that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're giving me the chance to take that one back, Illinois are a great team for their past.
Yes.
Illinois
with
are
that.
not a
They
college
are
football
a-
ready team.
You know what they are?
was a good
You know what
season
they are?
for them.
They're a basketball school.
Yeah,
That
There it is.
They're a
March
basketball.
Madness.
Although I'll give you credit where credit is due. You said that they would be a 10-win team, 9-3 at the end of the year.
Okay.
And bowl eligible. That's
Pretty
not
close.
far off.
Not too
Exactly.
far off.
All right, next one. I really think Lando can make a push. He's not too far behind. Now, this really could be between two people. And I see one of them is staring the other one down profusely.
Okay.
What happened there?
So what's going on?
In all fairness, when I said this take, I knew deep down Max was winning it. I knew.
Okay.
But
But
Why'd you say it then?
I'm just a hopeful person. You see, I've grown up as a Boston Bruins fan, so I'm very hopeful, and I just get let down
Imagine
every
being
year.
a New York Jets fan.
Exactly, you get that. You get the
So
hope.
you thought Piastri was going to win.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Dude, I was a Joe Guan Yu truther from the very beginning.
That's crazy.
You know what he said today? He said if I was in the Red Bull or the McLaren, I would have won.
Yeah, I believe him. I believe him. Anyone other than Perez.
Yeah, anyone.
crazy.
Can
That
you
is
believe
crazy.
Perez is gone now?
Good.
Allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly. They say that every year that he's going to announce his retirement.
Apparently Red Bull wants him out. They're going to replace him with Lawson. But yeah,
Yuki. We can talk about that.
I agree. My mom's
That'll
gonna
be
like
a
that
whole
take, by the
nother
way.
segment.
My mom will really appreciate that, the Yuki love.
This one's for you, Mama Berkowitz.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm taking that back.
Yeah,
I'm not dying on that hill.
Yeah,
Because it's too late.
Thank you, thank
In
you.
fact, the championship is over.
It's over.
It's really actually over.
I can place my bets on McLaren constructors, though, which is what I meant.
We can do
Yeah.
a Hot Take
Yeah,
Takebacks
okay.
first episode next season.
This isn't called the Hot Take. Lie about it.
Wow. Maybe we'll call it that next season.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Final one. I'm in love with the shape of this Ipswich team. I think Wolves are going down. Now,
There's still time
I hate
for
no,
for whoever said this to
Wait.
be correct.
Whoever said this, I think they're right.
I have to say there's two parts to this take.
Okay.
The first is I'm in love with the shape of this Ipswich team.
And I am. They're perfect, and I want a
Okay.
photograph of them.
Ed Sheeran- the
I
Ed
will never
Sheeran is
stop
crazy.
loving Ed Sheeran, and I will never stop loving Ipswich. Any team that beats Tottenham is a friend of mine. Okay?
Now, unfortunately, to alert the audience and everyone at this table, Ipswich is currently in the relegation battle.
But
Only one game, or only one point back.
Only 1 point back.
One
and
point back.
who's that against? It's Wolves.
Well, that's where we.
Wolves who were way below them at the time and have surpassed.
Okay.
Okay,
you
wait,
were
wait.
the one that, okay,
Hold
you have a
on.
good take though, because you said they were going to come back up. I think Ipswich, they'll bring it back.
I think your heart's gonna be broken. But that's just what we think.
We are no longer
Sometimes
going to be
we're
in
wrong.
love with the shape of this
Sometimes we're
team.
wrong, and that's
I
what we've
will
learned on this
sing
blog.
for Ipswich
Wolves-
no matter what.
Wolves being in the drop zone makes your take. So, do you take it back, or you're staying strong? You're dying on the hill. You're living with Ipswich.
You know what?
Wait.
I'll go
the right
to the
thing.
supermarket and take my flowers, but I'm gonna stay with Ipswich.
Nice. Nice.
Wow.
This is what we stand
Respect.
for. This is
Respect.
integrity.
Yeah.
This is integrity. All right. Unfortunately, this is the end. Not of our lives, just of the season.
okay.
Oh, good.
That is all we have time for. But before you tune away, we have to say goodbye to some members of our amazing team. Firstly, we'll be saying goodbye to one of our box score veterans, Max Lasky. Can we get a round of applause, please?
My jaw right there.
Indeed. We will also be saying goodbye to all but one of our control room members. So can we get a round of applause for our control room? And last, but certainly not least, we will have to say goodbye to one of my fellow executive producers of the Box Score, who has been a part of this show for 5 semesters. She is getting old, and has helped transform the Box Score into the hands-down best show on campus, the limitlessly talented Layla Simmons. Can we get a major round of applause for that oldie? The entire Box Score family is wishing everyone leaving the best on their ventures at home and abroad. And finally, a special shout out to Kent State University, who just wrapped up an 0-12 season and has lost 21 straight games. I'm rooting for you. Next season isn't too far away. But that's all for our show, all for our season. Thank you all for watching. I've been your host, Noah Berkowitz. Stay up to date on our Instagram for the latest info on next season. Stay safe out there, and good night.